okay? You need to get up, stretch, move around, that's all good. Okay, so let's just reflect on our experiences this morning before we move on to the next part. So thinking about, we've done three things. We did the icebreaker, which was the Wordle, where you had your 3 words. And then we had a video, and we had a conversation about that video. And then we had the group work, the activity, where you researched and came up with some definitions or explained some of the concepts. So those are the 3 things that we've done. So thinking about the Wordle, why do you think I did the Wordle? What was the purpose of the activity?
Find the biggest problem.
I wouldn't have phrased it like that.
The biggest challenge.
Yes, yeah. General feeling. Yes, to get the group thing. Yeah. To get to know us. And to engage with, that's right. Yeah. People to know us. Yeah, that's right. Yep. To connect us to the topic we're going to look at. Yeah. Example of eLearning. Yes, that's right. So all of those things were the reasons. So I didn't think I want to do a Wordle. I'm going to find a way to fit in. I thought I want to know what people know already. I want to get to know my audience. This is a way that I can use. What technology will support me best in doing that activity? So that was the reason that I used it. So how could you do that online?
We do a little survey, which is what Kathleen's done.
Yeah.
And people would add their words,
yeah,
which ask them specifically for words, and their feelings about.
Yeah. So you could do an asynchronous survey. Yeah. People are doing it at a time of their convenience.
Yeah. You can do it on a webinar. So you can have the Wordle up there on the screen that's being shared.
Yes.
And get people to type into the comments and have someone adding, putting them into the Wordle.
That's right.
As you know.
Yeah. So that's a good point. In the webinar, you probably would have 2 people managing that space, somebody doing the presenting and somebody else doing the background work.
And you have it before the webinar actually officially starts. So you're not actually taking time in the webinar. So
that's right.
People you can
enter your comments into the chat bit, and then somebody's pasting them into the Word and then up it comes. Any other ideas?
I think I prefer to see the person's face as a given notice.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I mean, it's worth getting to know people as well.
Okay.
So having totally anonymous people, no faces, writing words, I don't know.
That's very interesting.
That'd be cold to me.
I'm going to tell you a story. I worked on a job. It was a Civil Authority training assessment. Sorry, everybody was doing it. We were delivering it using a blended learning strategy. So it was a combination of webinars and self-paced independent learning. Okay, we had a Moodle learning management system, but everybody knows what that is. So what would happen is that every fortnight they would do some work, and we would meet up at the end of the fortnight in this live space. They were all over New South Wales. They were all childcare directors. We had groups of 10, so we divided into groups of 10, and over 2 days we run 6 webinars, and we delivered to those people. At the end, we had 3 days of face-to-face assessment. So everybody actually came to Sydney, and we sat together in a room, and we observed them training and assessing. Those women, they were all women, there were 2 blokes, they were a whole lot, they hugged each other. They walked into that room and they knew who each other were and they hugged each other. So one of the things I find the most fascinating about technology is the building of relationships. You know, it's how do you use technology to build relationships? And that was an example of people really building relationships. They never saw each other, we only used slides, but they heard each other. And they kind of knew what each other thought about the various topics that we were working on. And those relationships were tangible. It was very interesting. And I think before that experience, I would have agreed with you. But now I have a different
Go at the end of the process. This is starting at the beginning.
Yeah, but you've got to get to the end.
True. You've got to start at the beginning.
Yep.
I was in a online conference for pre-service teachers recently, and one of the first things was they had the Twitter feed running on the screen at the same time. Introduce yourself, where are you from, etc. And so we all did that. And then because all these people on Twitter, I was connecting with all these other pre-service teachers and lecturers and all these people. And you can see all of their tweets, you really get to know what kind of people they are and their answers to questions and that kind of thing. So actually, even by the end of it, I was already connecting with some of these people for ed chats and all sorts of things. So I actually found that I get what you're saying, but I find you can still do it, depending on the group.
And that's an example of you forming your own personal learning environments by using the technology to reach out and connect with people who share your interests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the Wordle, so we said we could do a survey at some point, asynchronously, and those survey results could be collected and put into a Wordle. We could have a live webinar. We could use that technology to, in one way or another, to actually collect that information. You could have a discussion forum. If you were working in a learning management system, you could have a discussion forum where people shared their words and then somebody could collate them. So there are a number of ways that you could have done that in an online environment. So the second thing was the video. So why do you think I showed that video?
It impresses.
To bring the mood down. Why do you think I showed that video?
I was hoping
To open our minds
Yeah.
as to what's happening out there, and also to change the energy and the mood of the room and give us a different type of stimulation.
Yeah.
I think it was more like shock therapy.
Well, that's a little. That's getting really close, actually. It's the purpose of going on.
Well, yes, effectively you're teaching something.
Yeah.
And you want to tell people why they want to learn. You're basically telling them that you want to learn something.
Yeah. Some context for why it's important to get on board with technology, which of course I think it is.
I think it's a good way to put it into context of the need for
Yes.
having proper learning techniques. Because when you see that, you realise that it's a serious business, it's a serious world.
That's right.
You really need to be very professional in what you're doing.
So it was an attention grabbing strategy. So at the point, I wanted people to see something that they hadn't seen before. You never quite know. You never know when you go into the room. You're never really going to have seen that video. And I have had experiences where people have, you look at the draw, it worked out today. Yeah.
Most people only see the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
What they will do is one of the things we start to learn about.
Yeah. So it was attention grabbing, and it was designed to stimulate interest in the topic. That was the purpose of it. So everything has a purpose. Every activity that you include in your learning experience, whether it's in a face-to-face or whether it's online, needs to have a purpose. Okay, the jargon. Oh, hang on, before we do that, so how could we have done that online? How could we have done that? Watch the video, have a conversation. How could that have happened? Yeah. Webinar? Yeah, webinar, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
And have a chat function below the video, so
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have the multiple choice quiz and have
Yeah.
a jargon and then say these are the choose
Yes.
the closest
Yes.
possible.
You could. Yeah. You could have a discussion forum. Do people know what a discussion forum is? When I say discussion forum? Yeah. Anybody not? No, okay. So a discussion forum is a place where it's frequently in the context of education. It'll be inside a learning management system. So it's inside the thing that belongs to the institution, the learning space that belongs to the institution. And it's a place where you, the educator, will pose a question. So the question might be just written, or it might be watch a video and think about these questions, or it might be go and read something and then tell us what you think about it. And then underneath is a space for students to reply. So they'll reply, and it is a little bit like Facebook, for people who've been on Facebook, where you'll say something and it forms a thread. So that particular conversation will be threaded. So you'll say something, I'll respond, 2 or 3 other people might say something that's kind of, it's kind of going down like that, if that makes sense. But that's one conversation that you might then come back to. So, universities use it a lot because it's a really good way to get students to go and research. So go and research. Here's something we want you to read. Here's a couple of questions to think about. Come back and say what you think. And what you're looking for is different points of view so that people are learning from each other. It's still that student-centered, people taking responsibility for their own learning, but actually putting their views forward. And you want that debate, in there. You want to get that debate, and you have to use strategies to enable that to happen. But we could have used a discussion forum to gather people's thoughts. And we did have a debate in this room. There were lots of different views about that video and what its implications were and what it meant, what was the role of the educator.
How do you get, two questions, how do you get all of videos like that, and how do you get all from copyright issues?
So that's a YouTube video, so it's publicly available. So there's no problem with copyright. Yeah. And copyright is a very pertinent thing to raise because if you're, so usually the rule educationally is you can use, if it was a book, for example, you can use 10% of the publication. So you can photocopy 10% of the book and you can use that and you're not breaching copyright in an educational context. What you can't then do is on-sell that material. Yeah.
So I had a good chat to the copyright people last year trying to understand this stuff. If we're using it here in Traders by Design or in Postmasters Club, because we're a non-profit, we don't have to have an educational license at all. If you're working for an educational institution, you need to make sure they've got an educational license that allows you to copy up to 10%, etc. But again, still not on selling.
Yeah.
So those were the answers as I got them from the copyright agency.
But things like YouTube videos and all that stuff that's freely out there,
It's there.
as long as you're linking out, you know, you're not taking it in, you're linking to it. So you're just saying, it's there, I'm directing you to it. So then in that context, it's fine. Okay. So we talk about how that can be done online here. Okay. So what about the jargon activity? So research, come up with some answers and share. What was the purpose of that activity?
To annoy us with the jargonistic words. I couldn't pronounce mostly.
I can now.
Why would that include that activity in the design of this session?
Because you know, we were different in terms of technology, but different types of training.
Yes.
So then we're expanding our knowledge.
Yeah, exposure.
Yeah, and we learned so much by researching it. And if you think about what we knew before, when we got the piece of paper and what we now know, well, for us here anyway, it was marvelous.
Yeah.
Like I told you at the break, and when I finished my training, the word that we learned in education was pedagogy.
Yeah.
And that was the word that my professor did somebody with his PhD from the University of Michigan. And today when you talk about it, that more than 8 years later, he's gone into so many branches, the whole expansion of knowledge.
Yes.
And that's what I learned from your work as well. Each one of them had that, but they're expanding the new sphere of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the fundamental premise was exposure, but the other premise was that you were doing the learning, you were doing the exploring. I wasn't up there saying, okay, I've got 20 slides here, let's go through them one by one. And I'll tell you what all the definitions are for all these words.
We never would be going to
Glaze over.
So now, instead of knowing nothing about the whole lot, we actually know what we researched.
Yes.
And probably pick up some really, really useful information from the others that research.
That's right, and you'll learn that for pedagogy, that was in there, wasn't it? Okay, that was the rationale for the activity. How would you do that online?
Could you assign a different terms to different people
Yes.
and then contribute to it?
Yes, you definitely
Or
could.
foreign.
Or a forum, yeah. So we keep coming back to that, but this is the concept of social learning, you know, using forums, assigning. So you could, you know, there's a couple of ways that you could do it. I mean, you could in your platform, I've done this, you can list people's names and you can put the things that you want them to research, or you can, if you want it to be done differently, you could just email them, you know, send them an email and say, when you come to the next webinar, can you have thought about this? Or in the webinar, you could say, okay, everybody's got, you know, 3 minutes to go off and, you know, here's the list and here's the things you're going to research. You've got 3 minutes, come back in 3 minutes, put your hand up when you're back, and we'll just go down the list and we'll ask everybody to explain, you know, what they've discovered. So a number of ways that you can do it. And your point earlier about the multiple choice questions, I mean, that's another way that you can use it. If the context was assessment, if you need to know that people know this, and I'm not a big fan of the multiple choice question, and if you're going to use multiple choice questions, they have to be very thoughtfully written, so that the answers are not obvious. But you could use some sort of questioning technique to do that as well. Okay, so that's kind of what we've been doing. So the reason I want to do that is just to say there's always a reason. There's always a reason for every activity that you include, and it should be driven by the needs of the learners. What do the learners, what is best going to benefit your learner? That's the driver. And then what technologies can I use to support the activity that I want to deliver? It's never the other way around. It's never, I've got, there's Wordle, I love Wordle, got to use Wordle, how am I going to use it? I'll design an activity that uses Wordle. Don't do that, do it the other way around. This is what I want to teach, and this is the technology that will support me in that process. Okay, so I wanted to move into social learning strategies. And so we're going to, the rest of this morning, which is where I finish at the end of the morning, is we're going to look at two ways of learning. We're going to look at social learning, designing social learning, and we're going to look at designing independently learning. So I think all the things that we've talked about, all the definitions that you've learned, can you think of social learning strategies? So what sorts of things could you ask your students to do to learn socially? Don't overcomplicate it, and you can think about social learning either using technology or social learning in the classroom. Yep.
I think without discussion, it won't work.
Well, but discussion is the first one. I mean, yes, you need discussion. Discussion is the core of social learning.
I rang up 5 NSI tape and said, how do you get on with these? Where's the forum?
Yeah.
How do you communicate? This is weeks ago, search for training and assessment.
Really?
And I was told, oh, you just type in X, Y, Z, which I did, and there was nothing there, zero.
Okay.
And I thought, and that was, now I realise that's what was missing was a discussion.
Yes.
No discussion.
Yes.
The only discussion, and I actually managed to contact a few of the other students, but the ones I managed to reach, they quit.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a shame.
Yeah, it was a bit.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a very negative experience.
It wasn't. That's my experience.
Did you find it isolating then?
Sorry?
Did you find it isolating? Were you doing it online?
Online,
yeah. And so did you find it to be an isolating experience?
There was nothing personal about it.
Yeah.
It was like on the computer studying. It was like study.
Yes.
Like reading stuff, researching stuff, answering questions.
Yeah.
But there was nothing personal.
No.
There was no interaction.
No.
And there was nothing on the forum.
No.
Now, I should have, no, I shouldn't have known.
No.
I didn't know,
No.
right, someone has to start the forum.
Okay.
Someone has to start it.
The educator.
I actually did start something, but it was I managed to find some students and they communicated with me. They didn't do it through the forum.
No. That's a shame.
This is sort of halfway between. I had a course recently with the instructor at the beginning of the course. He set up a wiki. I don't know if you know what a wiki is. It's like Wikipedia.
Yep.
So at the end of every lesson, we create a wiki page, and he encouraged us to update it so we can actually all edit the wiki and actually write our own.
Yes.
So he put homework on there.
Yeah.
I did say, okay, you do the homework. If you can edit the wiki and leave your own notes there.
Yes.
So it's like us, so it's not just a discussion. So not just discussion.
Yes.
Actually, we're all contributing to like a resource.
But and that's a great example of social learning.
Yeah.
You know, because you're reading what someone, before you put your view, you might read what 2 or 3 other people said, and that might shift your view, you know, so that you might see it slightly differently. Yeah.
Although there were only 4 of us, I think not that many people really updated the wiki, so that'd be, I think for people weren't really motivated to update it, but the trouble is getting people to do it. But
it's just that one extra thing to do, isn't it? Yeah.
I think if you had a very large project, you broke it up into small bits and you assigned, say, 4 or 5 people to one of those bits.
Yeah.
And ideally, you choose people that have got a range of skills. So maybe one person from technology, another person, more social skill, whatever. And you sort of tend to then they come back with that task completed to fit into a larger picture and you get sort of interaction. They do it through, I don't know, some sort of software mechanism. I mean, they won't be physically seeing each other face to face, but they could work on a project, find pretty much what we've done today, but online.
Yes, that's right. So, wikis, forums, all of those things, webinars, they enable sort of social learning. Some of the things that you can do, is that. So you can obviously have discussions. You can encourage reflection. So a way of encouraging reflection is asking people to write a blog. So, particularly the Certificate for Training and Assessment is a good example of when you could have people do that reflective work. So you could do, a component, and then you could ask people to write, 300 words about, what they learned and how they learned, and how they might use it. So you could frame some questions. They have that reflective period. They write. It's social because it's shared, because other people can come in and look and comment. So that makes it social. That active reflecting. The other thing that might happen with that is that when people do come in and comment, it might, again, shift your view. So somebody might point something out, or they might share an experience of their own, and it might change, what you thought about what you wrote. So the next time you write in that blog, you might address that. So again, that makes it social, because you're interacting with other people who are helping you shape and form your views and ideas. Knowledge sharing, those are the forums, similar to discussions. Co-authoring is the wiki that we've already talked about. Peer review, that could happen in the discussion forum, it could happen in the wiki, it could happen in a blog. Collaborative problem solving is something that we've talked about. You can put people in groups and get them to do various things and then share. Collaborative research and so on and so forth. So as I said, I'll give you all of these, and you'll have all of the links if you want to look at them afterwards. Okay, so those are some examples of different technologies that you can use, or different methods, I should say. So for reflection, blogs, forums, podcasts, and videos, and so on and so forth. So just ideas of different online spaces that you could use in order to get people to do these types of things. And then this one that gives you actually examples of the software that's available, and where you can go and find them. I have Zoom actually. This is a new one. So conferencing is webinars. It's the same thing. The big ones are kind of David Connect and Blackboard, quite expensive. WebEx I've been using for a long time, and the other day I just discovered Zoom, and it's particularly for a non-profit organisation like this one, it's something like $20 a month. So it's very cheap, and it just enables. We use it a lot. I do a lot of work at the Department of Health. They're all over New South Wales, so we go into Zoom. We put the storyboard that we're working on up on the screen, and we talk about it, and we change it. Everybody can see what's going on. So you have this really sort of social, collaborative learning experience using technology. Okay, so that's it. All right, so I wanted to introduce a social learning model. I don't think it's probably a bit smaller. There are 5. So this is a really old model. This woman, Julie Salmon, that designed this model, did this in 1998. So it's quite, and she was really a trailblazer in the sense of online social learning. And so this is before, there's this sort of, explosion that's happened now. And really this model was constructed around the use of email. So students are geographically dispersed. I need to get them connected. All the technology I've got at my disposal is an email system. So that's how simple this is. But this model, it still applies today. Like, it's a fantastic model. So the idea is that in the beginning, your students are going to be a little bit, perhaps uncomfortable. They might not be, wanting to use technology, but for some reason they've been told that they have to, so they're in there. So you need to set up the access and motivation. So the role of the educator is to be warm and welcoming and encouraging, and to make this process of accessing the technology nice and simple and not scary for people. And you might do that by picking up the phone, for example, if you know that somebody's struggling or their life is a struggle. The next part is getting people into the environment. So you've set them up, they know they've got a password, they've got a login, they're able to get in. Now you're getting them to know what it is that I need to do now that I'm in there. So you might do something really simple, like give them an introduction to do something like that. But your role as the educator is helping people to become familiar with the environment, moving them into information exchange. We are going to go into this in more detail. So now you're creating activities people to do that enable them to exchange information, and that builds up to knowledge construction. So you, the educator, in this part, you're very active. You know, you're really busy. You're keeping an eye on things. You're in most days. Here into knowledge construction, so this is all happening in the first week of the process. This part, getting people and getting them comfortable. Here, you've really moved into the learning experience. So you're now creating activities that enable people to go off and start constructing their own knowledge and working together. Here you're still quite active, you know, commenting, giving direction, you know, maybe providing access to other resources that they haven't seen. But when you get up to the fifth stage, you become less active, so you're more passive in your role as the educator, and learners are taking over, and they form their groups and their alliances and their you know, joint interests, and they're working more independently without you. So that's kind of the model. So let's just try, I want to put that into a context, that model. So can you see this up the back?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. It's just, well, I know that my eyesight's not very good. I should be wearing bifocals, but I haven't quite got stuff there yet. So when I'm up there, I can't see this. Okay, so you're delivering a formal training program for managers of a large corporate organisation who need to improve their presentation skills. They're scattered all over Australia. They don't know each other. You're delivering the program using blended learning, and your strategy includes a discussion forum and live webinars. And you begin the program in a forum. Okay, so that's the case that we're working with. Okay, so thinking about access and motivation. So this is before the course. It hasn't begun yet. You've got these people, they're all over the place. You want to get them into the forum, and you want to tell them about the webinars. What are you going to do? Yeah.
Maybe tell about some success stories for people before who attend this course.
How are you going to do that? They're not in yet. The course hasn't started.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe some advertisement or some other platforms.
So let's say, okay, so they've enrolled. So they've decided they want to do the course. They've actually enrolled, and it's the preparation phase. Okay. So how are you going to be communicating? Probably by email. Exactly. Okay. What else might you do in that email?
What you alluded to before, having like a video at the beginning, so have a look at this video before, and maybe get back to the group with questions or to the educator with questions. And that triggers thoughts, and also might come up with the educator might get an idea of the needs of the people too, in terms of the specific needs.
So we're still working with the email, and we're in that very early stage. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what you do, because that's what you want them to do. You want them to, so this is about access and motivation. That's the phase that we're working in. Yeah.
In the case of enterprise workflow, there's two things. One is a reward system.
Yes.
And the other one is to work with the HR department to make it an HR policy that we would require to do this once a year.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So you're setting up the parameters of when you need to do it and how you need to do it. Okay. That is good. Yeah.
I think that's actually an interesting point, because I've been in certain situations where people have been forced to do courses.
Yeah.
And in that early part, you don't get that full interaction.
No.
So that's going to be the trick. And I think once they show in the video and having some sort of a response, it's starting that process. I mean, that shot video is actually really good because it gets people thinking.
So that's later. So that's when, because here we haven't started. So that video will come later.
Right.
Yeah.
The motivation might be like giving them an idea of what they can generate in the program, how long it will take.
That's right. All that basic stuff is what they need to know at this early point. Yeah.
I'd go a step further and give them access to the course now. The learning course. Okay. So they just sign up, again, they get the email, they get access, so it encourages them, because they get that received bonus or whatever it is, and that instant access, they can straight away start learning, which can include like the videos, might be some worksheets, might be resources to go and look up, to read, etc. To get them involved in that, so that they're kind of started.
Okay.
And then they're kind of waiting for the
next
step to
step.
start.
Okay. All right. So this is kind of where we are. So we are doing that really introductory stuff. Welcome to the course. We're giving them a course outline. We're giving them instructions on how to access the course. We're giving them information about the technical stuff. So in order to join the webinars, you're going to need a headset with a microphone, you know, that sort of thing, and any other relevant information. So that is the very first stage. So that's about access and motivation. So get them in. And like I said, you know, there might be part of that might be picking up the phone. You know, actually, so if you know you've sent out all of that stuff and people aren't in, well then you need to contact them. You know, you don't just kind of leave them out there floundering. And it's something like if somebody doesn't turn up to a face-to-face training session, well, they're just not there and there's nothing that you can do about it. But in an online environment, you've still got time. So this would be that first part would be a week out. So now we're into online socialisation. So they've logged in, they've got their head around the technology to an extent that they're there, and it's the very first moment. So they're just starting to learn. What are they doing? I think this is where we kind of have your ideas about the video and the thinking. What else might they be doing at this point? Yep. Probably better if you could Hangouts. Introduce. If your environment was Google Hangouts, well then those are the instructions that you would have sent them, and that they'd be there now. That's what they'd be there. They probably wouldn't know what to do, but they'd be there. Yep. Introduce themselves. That's right. So you give them some nice, simple activities, things to do that are going to make them feel comfortable. I think the thing to remember here as well is that for a lot of people, it's quite confronting. That first post, you know, can be very confronting, and people are not necessarily comfortable with saying things about themselves in this, you know, even though it's a closed space because it's a course, it can still be quite confronting. So what will happen is that people will wait. So they'll wait and they'll watch and see what sort of things do other people say about themselves. And there's a whole theory that's around that. It's called legitimate peripheral participation. It's by somebody called Lama and Bender. And it's about the fact that that's okay. You know, it's okay to be the reflective person, the person that wants to wait, the person that wants to observe, the quiet, shy person that sits, you know, at the back of the classroom and doesn't necessarily want to join. And they might be the person who, in the face-to-face context, they're actually thinking and concentrating and listening. But when they get to the point that they've got something to say, the conversation's moved on, and that does happen. That's just how people are learning, and that reflective practice that they need to go through. Well, this environment enables that. It enables people to sit quietly and reflect, and then when they're ready, they can jump in. So those are the sorts of things that people will be doing. We'll be doing that sort of very entry-level introductions, icebreaker, ground rules. Ground rules are important in an online environment. What are the ground rules, do you think?
What you can and can't do.
Yeah.
So I immediately think of because I'm doing stuff in this space at the moment on social media, LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, all of that policy that sits behind all of this. This is who the users are. This is what you can and can't say in this forum. This is what will happen. If you say something that you're not supposed to. This is how it will function, etc., etc. And most professional LinkedIn groups I've joined, I get an email from the organizer as soon as I join the group saying, here are all of our group rules. By joining this group, you're agreeing to all of these. And it's, you know, this much text on.
That you don't read. Yeah.
Oh, well, I usually skim it.
You're good.
When it's a professional group on LinkedIn. Yeah, all of that sort of stuff. And it's really good, actually. Because usually you get a feel for what the expectations are. Yeah. But I've also seen groups where that hasn't been set up. Yeah. Go well.
Look, it's really important, you know, I mean, you know, through plagiarism, you know, you have that stuff there, you know, this is a formal learning environment. Obviously, we don't want you to plagiarise, and, you know, it's about that, you know, you have something in there about being respectful of the views and opinions of others, and you talk about don't use capitals because that's how this is going to be perceived as shouting, and all of those general rules that you would set up, you know, in an adult learning environment, in the classroom, you rarely have to do that. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you've got to get the whiteboard and get your pen and go, okay, this is, let's set some ground rules and do it as a group. But not very often, my experience anyway has been not very often, and it's very unfortunate if it does happen. It means that the group aren't functioning well. But in an online environment, you've got to set those standards of behaviour. And I didn't do it also in webinars as well. I set up the standards of behaviour because you've got no body language and you've got no eye contact. So people, tone can be misinterpreted. So we just say at the beginning, assume a positive intent. If you go in with that idea, and that's your assumption, you're less likely to be offended by something that somebody says based on their tone. Something like that. So ground rules, expectations, what the expectations of the learners are, important to set that up in this online socialisation space. And we usually do something around time management. So here you are, you're in this online course, you would have probably experienced this if you're doing a TA online on your own. How are you going to manage your time? It might be as simple as I'm going to do every Sunday morning, I'm going to put aside 4 hours, and that's when I'm going to do my study. Or it might be, I can do some of it in the workplace or however, just to get people thinking about, I'm doing this online, I'm on my own, contact is going to be different. It's not going to be as social as when I come here. I'm going to think about how I'm going to stay motivated and managing time aside. That's the online socialisation stage. And you can see this is early stages in the online learning experience. So we've got them in, they've done their icebreaker, they know what the expectations are, they've worked out their time management strategies, and we're now moving into the learning itself. So what are we doing here? What sort of things are we doing? Remembering that they're still new and maybe a little bit, nervous. What sort of activities would you be designing at this point in the context of that? I can't remember what was the case study. I can't remember what the case study was. Let's go back to okay, you're delivering a training program for managers from a large corporate organisation who need to improve their presentation skills. That's what you're teaching. Okay, so if you're teaching that, presentation skills, and you're designing activities, and it's online and it's asynchronous, what sort of things are you going to ask people to do? Sorry? Yes? Yes. That's right. But then you might ask them for their experience, talk about your experience of presenting. You might talk about what have you seen? What did you like here? Or it could be watch video, what did you like? What did you not like? What was the thing that really impressed you? You could have a series of questions like that. So as you're suggesting, low risk activities, to get in and participate. It's quite non-threatening. They can give their views. You can give feedback and guidance as they're going through.
Can I ask, is that like when you're in work or something and they say introduce yourself to the group and why you're doing this course and that? Is it that kind of thing?
Yes, exactly.
When I've done work, some of the very first activities usually come to the forum.
Yes.
Type your name,
yes.
Type why you're doing this course, etc.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself and then comment on one or two other people's introductions.
That's right.
It's that kind of thing?
Well, that's a step back. So that's an online socialisation. So that's the very first thing that they're doing. So you're now into the learning experience. So you're designing activities. Okay. So thinking about the fact that we're in a blended learning environment. Yeah. Somebody's beeping. Yeah. Tracking down the source.
It's one of those awful workshop points that you can't get them to stop beeping. You just want to say a laugh. I would come across this and take time to puzzle one.
Okay. I just got distracted. Yeah. So I
was just clarifying.
Yes.
And you were saying that that's an online socialisation.
Yes.
So the information exchange
is the beginning of the learning.
Okay.
So you're introducing them to those very low risk, non-threatening activities that enable them to prepare your blended learning environment. They've got their webinar coming up in, let's say, a week or 2 weeks, or however far apart you spread them. So you're getting them to do things in preparation for that webinar, for that live event. So there's another. So that strategy actually works really well because there are the live events. So people know they've got 2 weeks or a week, whatever you say that, to do certain things before they come to this live event. They're going to be accountable. So the thing about that is it's striking the balance between I want you to come anyway, even if you have a really busy fortnight, you know, and you haven't been able to do anything, I still want you to come, but I'd really prefer it if you did the activity again. You know, it's kind of getting that balance of saying, so how we would do that is we would say something like, those activities that you're doing online are the equivalent to the group work that you would do in a classroom. So if you were in a classroom and your educator said to you, here's a group task, I want you to work out what this jargon means, you're not going to wander off and sit on your phone for 20 minutes and then come back in and see what happens. You're going to go and do the activity because that's what you're there for. So it's setting up that concept that this is not, it's not optional, but we understand if some fortnights you can't do the things that you need to do because life gets in the way, that sort of thing. Okay, so information exchange. You're designing structured activities. You might be assigning roles and responsibilities for, which is something that you mentioned earlier. Helping them using the different access to the different sort of learning materials. Where are they? What are they for? How are you going to use them? How are they going to be integrated? Really encouraging discussions. So often what happens in these early stages of these social learning environments, the people who are a little uncomfortable about expressing themselves in that public space will send you an email. So they've got something to say or they've got a question to ask, but they feel a bit silly and, you know, they don't want to put it out there. So they send you an email. So you write back to them and say, that was a really great question. Here's the answer. Is it okay if I put that in the forum? And I'd like to share with people that it was you that asked that question. And then people will generally say, yes, of course you can. And then what that does is, oh, that was a good question. And I got the answer, and everybody's got the answer now. But the next time that they've got a question, they're more likely to use the forum. So it's about those sorts of strategies, you know, encouraging and supporting. And then if somebody does put something into the forum, and you're sort of looking at that and you're going, well, that's really interesting. And that's very similar to what this person over here said. So I'm going to connect those two. So you're going to be saying, oh, that was, you know, Paul, that was really interesting. You know, Sri, you know, you said something very similar. You know, you work in the same field, or, you know, so you're drawing those threads together. So your role is to connect people, you know, who are going to benefit from being connected to each other. That's one of your roles in this forum. Summarising findings or outcomes. Okay, so this encouraging discussion, one of the things I've done, and this works very well in an academic context, it would also work, I think, in the Cert 4 context as well, is a thing called spinning and weaving. So what spinning and weaving is I would assign a reading or a video or something relevant to the topic to a pair. So put people in pairs, and week 1, week 2, week 3, whatever it is. So week 1, the spinner is going to read the article, watch the video, summarise the key points, and their job is to ask a question that's going to promote discussion. So that's the spinner. The rest of the group, you have to try and obligate them to participate in some way. So you've got to sort of say, think about when it's going to be your turn and how it's going to feel if nobody answers. So you say things like that. And so they all won't, you know, there'll be your posters, they'll be like the same in the room. There are the people that talk and there are the people that don't. Some people will come on and they'll respond and they'll participate in the discussion. So that person's role is to spark the discussion, but both people have to facilitate the discussion, respond to the various posts. The weaver's job is to draw together the threads. So their job is to pick out the key points from the discussion and summarise them. And in the context of formal learning with assessment, what I would then say is, this will help you with your assessment tasks. Because what you'll have is a summary of all these readings and then a summary of the discussion. So when you're writing that essay or whatever it is that you're doing, you can just go back to the summary. So everything needs to be purposeful, you know, and of value and of benefit to your students. But look, it works, it has varying degrees of success depending on the group.
There's only one weaver.
Only one weaver for each, so in each pair. So there's one spinner and one weaver. So that their job is to do that within a period of time, like a week or 10 days or whatever it is, and then they've done their job, and then the next pair come in and do a spin and a weave. So spinner spins on day 1, discussion goes on, let's say, to day 10.
Discussion of the whole group, not just
the whole group.
Right.
That's right. And then the weaver on day 10 will summarise the discussion.
for that couple or the group.
For the whole group.
The whole group.
Everything that's happening, it's their responsibility to manage that discussion. You see, I'm teaching e-learning. You've got to remember that. So I'm teaching people how to do that. So that's the context of this. But I think it would work in other contexts as well. You know, it's about getting them to do the work. That's what it's about. You know, you're the learner. You're the ones that need to learn. You know, find stuff, share stuff. You know, think about stuff, analyze stuff, summarize. That's kind of what you're doing in that context. Okay. So that's the information exchange. Knowledge construction. Okay, so we've done some of those low risk activities. We've got people in, and I guess that's fitting and weaving actually more fits in here. It doesn't really fit into the last bit. It more fits in here when people are more confident and they're more able. So I guess that's probably the best example of that one. So yeah, facilitating open activities, asking lots of questions, coming in, commenting, and your job is guiding. You know, at this point, you're watching what people are doing and you're guiding them. If they're interested in something, you're in there going, okay, here's a resource that might help you, or here's a video you might like to watch, you know, so that you're adding to their knowledge. Encouraging that reflection, and yeah, you're very active as a facilitator. Yeah.
I've been to a couple of professional learning courses recently on teaching maths using ICT and that kind of thing. And one of the things they've had us do is we all sit there on Google Docs on the same document, and we're all editing it at the same time and adding all our notes and comments and everything, which was really fun. Yes. So is that an example of the knowledge construction and how you could do that?
Yes, that's a really fantastic example of knowledge construction.
It's so much fun. And the person at the front, all they're doing is the screen at the front has the whole document, which has all these people editing it, constantly moving. And they're just, as things are coming through, if they see something that's not quite right, they can, you know, suggest you might like to move it to here, or, you know, another thing that you could do with this. So all they're doing is you know, just guiding around all the sitting there madly typing that in our notes to it.
Don't underestimate how much time that takes. Because you've got to read everything. Yeah. You know, you have to be on top of it and you have to be in there. And, you know, if students, something that students complain about in these environments is, where is the educator? Yeah. You know, I know we've got to go off and do stuff on our own, but I want some professional help here. Yeah. That's why I'm paying for the course. Because I want to see you in there helping them. So it is very important to be reading what people are writing, even though it's not accessible. So in a lot of ways, it's a lot more work, you know, than it is to, you know, if I deliver this workshop next week, I've got no prep. You know, I might change the scenarios a bit, but fundamentally, I don't really have much prep to do because I've done it. But in the e-learning environment, every group is different, every group is having a different conversation. And although I know which resources they're probably going to want to see, I need to make sure that I'm in there, I'm active, and I'm responding. So it is, you know, and it's a consideration. You know, when you're designing this, how much time have I got? You know, how much time have I got to really do this? Yeah.
One course that I've done recently has connected office hours. So every week I think they have 2 different time slots, where they're open. I think it might be for 2 hours for questions, and it's all live.
Live chat.
Yeah, live chat. I don't know if they might even do voice, I don't know, but I never joined one of them. Yeah. But evidently that's, you know,
so what happened when you joined one?
They were, it was based in the US.
Okay.
Working.
Okay. Okay. But if it had been, so I asked that question really just out of curiosity, like what prevented you. Had it been in Australia, do you think you would have done?
Well, let me give you another example. A different course. I was in everything that they had, and it was Australian time zone. Yes. But it was also a different course, one that I was more involved in. The other one was set up, and it had to be keeping pace. Yeah. And no certification. This other one, there was no certification. But it's one of those courses you can go in and access anytime, and it's forums, so you can jump in and get what you need, what you want. Yeah. Pretty much at any time. Yeah. So I felt like I was okay. Yes. I didn't have any burning questions. No. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
It's in a group, and probably on Thursday they had me on Facebook.
Oh,
facilitator. Great. Just answer the question. So I was really disappointed that it wasn't the right thing, but someone would start a question and she knew it was on, and she asked that person and that she had some discussion.
Okay. So does that help you? That's what you're learning?
It's cool to see that there were actually other people out
there. Yeah. That's, you see, that's the key thing. You know, e-learning is very isolating. It really is, it's very isolating.
And again, there were lots of those people that we saw anyway, you know what they're watching.
Yes, yeah. Resource participation. See? Okay. Okay, and then the final stage is development, where you're back and you're in much more of a support role. You know, people are learning more independently. They're really out there, you know, constructing their own knowledge, but they're doing it publicly and socially. And you're encouraging reflection and you're only responding when required, so you're sort of stepping back. So if this, depending on the context of this, you know, that part might evolve into what we would talk about as a community of practice. Okay, so it could become a professional community of practice. So do you have a community of practice at Toastmasters, an online community of practice?
Probably, firstly, have you gone through already what that is?
No.
I'm not sure everyone knows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not, firstly, you're going to have to explain the term,
Yeah.
and then I'll answer.
Okay.
That's all
So
right.
a community of practice is basically a group of professionals who come together in an online environment for the purpose of learning. So the community of practice is a concept. There are other sorts of groups, but in the context of what we're talking about, they come together for the purpose of learning.
Okay, so the closest things we have would be probably also, I think, there's a Facebook group for District 70, for example. That can be when people are asking questions and having answered, that turns into a bit of a community of practice space. Confluence is obviously our community of practice space,
Okay.
and that is only rolled out at district level too.
What goes on in there?
Well, at the moment, it's just a space for us to do our e-learning project, and it's only just started.
Okay.
It will eventually be very exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are probably the closest things. Another example, a huge community practice. A lot of the learning that I've had in from other educators has actually happened on Twitter after conferences. So in conference, I figure out who I'm supposed to be following. Then I follow them on Twitter and I join in with all the education chats that they're in and all of that sort of stuff. And sometimes I'm just sitting to watch what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's a huge community practice. So it's a great place now because I've got enough teachers in my school now.
Yes.
And if I have a question, I just post it in there
Yes.
and say, what would I do here?
Yeah.
And I just get all of it.
Great. Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn groups are other examples for people who are on LinkedIn, which is a professional social network. And, you know, so part of my work is compliance in the vocational education and training sector. And there are always questions around compliance because the standards are always changing.
Yeah.
So that's a good place for me to go when I've got a question around something and just say, what's happening with this now? Yeah, you know, and then somebody will tell me, and it's fantastic. It just saves you hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that you'd be doing on your own, reading standards and figuring it out. Yeah.
One of the concerns I have with that is, and I've noticed in Facebook and places like that, where people are asking questions of all and sundry, and they get a lot of answers that are not correct.
Yes.
People that don't know the situation, don't know the answers, are giving people false information, and then they're running off and doing things incorrectly, and that happens a lot in Facebook. Because a lot of people have their own ideas. They don't always underline with the district, you know, rules that they have to adhere to as part of international. Yeah. So, you know, we really need someone that really knows what they're doing, keeping an eye on that. Yes. And say, oh, no, you can't do that. Yeah.
You need a facilitator. Yeah. A moderator, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can set them up so that, and I'm not a fan of this, but it can be done, that there is somebody who actually reads and then decides whether a post will go public. So you can do that, but it's not very, it's just not very adult. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So there's pros and cons of that. But yes, I mean, in that sort of context, when you're giving professional advice, I mean, the particular network that I'm talking about at LinkedIn, if that happens, somebody would correct them.
Yeah.
Unquestionably.
Yeah. And that happens.
Yeah. I think so too. As long as the network is full of experts, you know, like and that's why you join a network, is the expertise in the network. So it's that knowing who's in the network. And if you know those people, you know their professional standing, then you know people.
Actually found that events and conferences are a great place to start.
Yeah.
You figure out from that who you're supposed to be following.
That's right.
That's what they talk about.
It's true.
And then you go on.
Yes, that's right. You find them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Can I ask a general question?
Yes.
On, say, for example, Confluence, where you've got, it's a knowledge management system. If there was someone who posted a wrong, Kathleen, this is also for you.
Sorry.
If someone actually posted the wrong answer to a question, what would be the mechanics of steering them to the right answer? In Facebook, it's only two-dimensional. It's a bit difficult to do that. Whereas in Confluence, it's probably a way of doing it. I'm just interested because it's got to be a knowledge management system, not just an information management. It's a knowledge management system.
Yeah. So in Confluence, when we're talking, district leaders and that kind of stuff, where it's actually going, we've actually got the questions plugin. So you have the question there, and then you have the answers. Now those answers are going to be vetted by the district leaders who are in the system. Right. And so administrators, if they're not sure, will immediately be flagging those questions, which is very easy to go at Jo Rinaldi, for example. Jo knows it's something she's got to go have a look at. She looks at it and then she answers it. So it's a really beautiful setup for that kind of thing. Right. But Facebook, I've still seen people post things like, well, actually, according to the policies and procedures, blah, 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 refer page, and so then they post a document. So it can still be done.
There's been a lot of bad stuff on Facebook, and I had to leave actually because it was just getting too emotional. People getting so angry. It was, and they ended up having the widgets actually remaining on that forum. And it's terrible. Yeah. So Confluence to me is the way to do it for a professional.
That's not a learning. That's not a learning environment. That's a environment.
Well, it doesn't necessarily be used as a professional community of practice at Facebook groups. Whereas LinkedIn, for example, all the groups I'm involved in with LinkedIn, they're incredibly professional. You've never seen anything like that. And all the people are, experts. Pretty much. And people like me who would.
Isn't that about educating the users though? I find that we go back in and educate them again and have policy. And a lot of the Toastmasters using that group probably don't use it outside. So they don't understand the etiquette and how to use it. They're learning how to use it.
Until now, we haven't had policy or strategy.
So it's interesting that you're using Confluence, but I used Confluence in a project recently. So again, it was actually a global project. Yeah. And so what we did was we had all of the client stuff, so all the collateral that they gave us available, and then we had our space, and we all had a little bit of that space, and we all worked on a particular part of this project, and we would upload everything to that space, everything was shared. And if I wanted to alert somebody to the fact that I'd finished this bit, I could put a little message in and they get that message and then they've got access to that information. It's an amazing, amazing product. So that's the social learning space. So I think the Julie Salmon model is a useful one to sort of structure your thinking. So if you're designing social elements in your learning experiences, just consider the model. Just consider that process that people need to go through to get to a point of comfort. So I wanted to also look at independence e-learning strategy. So this is, who's done compliance training online? Who works in a bank? Yes. You've done it, click and read, do the quiz, tick, you're done. So that's and frequently people will say, often I'll open workshops with what are we learning, and that is what they describe. They describe that awful experience of click and read, do a quiz, you're done, we're all good here. The auditor comes in, everybody's happy.
It's right, it's ticking the boxes actually. Yes. Because we've just been taken over by Woolworths. And we were bombarded with we spent like 3 hours sitting in front of the computer just doing all compliance and things like OH&S and privacy.
That's right.
I know. And it would actually, if that was your only exposure, it would put you right on.
I worked in a hospital for a while and I had to do infection control. I'm not clinical, but I still had to do all of this training. And I'm telling you, what I did was I wrote down the answers on a piece of paper that I chose, so that the next time I came back to that question, if it was wrong, I knew which ones I'd chosen, and that was how I got through it. I didn't learn anything. What's the point? What is the point of that? It's dreadful.
I'm sort of chucking a red herring. I think a lot of those surveys are designed by IT people, not by communicators.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Honestly, lots of educators design like that, and it's because they haven't really made the transition from face-to-face training to e-learning. That's their experience in e-learning. They've got the PowerPoints. The PowerPoints are done. Yeah. And there are software tools that you can buy out there where you can just click and it just uploads the PowerPoints.
Yeah.
And you know, all good. We're all done here. That was not. And they think that that's e-learning. It's nothing to do with learning. It's called easy authoring. Yeah. It's all called easy authoring. You know, and it's it's just. It's not a good way to design learning.
I saw one recently. So there's a meetup group, Sydney e-learning instructional designers, and these are all professionals who do this for a living.
Yeah.
And one of the examples I saw there, it was an animation, and you had to tell the person in the animation what to do.
Yep.
And so depending on which path you chose, there were consequences, and that was the design.
That's good.
They did it in Captivate or something.
Yeah,
But it was a free piece of online software that you just animated the person and had, if then statements in the coding.
Yes.
It didn't take very long.
No.
But I just thought how simple, and they were using it to liven up things like OHS. If the person does this, what happens? So that people are actually learning the consequences, and they have to figure out
They
where
have to manage them.
wrong.
That's right. And it's and the other thing about it is it's in the third, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're in this situation. What are you going to do now? Oh, okay, well, I'll do this then.
It was just so much brighter.
Yeah.
Multiple choice questions.
Yes.
Each one does its own
Yes,
process.
on its own
Yeah.
part. Very complex. I mean, again, takes a long time to design, but worth it, Okay, so independent learning strategies, these sorts of things, but, I have to say it's a lot around questioning. When you're designing any of those question types, quality questions, good questions with good plausible options to choose from. I can't say, you all of the above. Don't put, of course that's the answer, all of the above. And nothing stupid, those stupid answers where you just know, well, that's obviously not the answer, so therefore it's only one of these two, I've got a 50-50 chance I'll click that one. Plausible, things that really might happen in the workplace. Situate them, situated learning, put them in the real context that people will really be thinking in. And then you can do things like, a drag and drop is good if you want people to sequence something. Here's a process. What's the order in which you should do these things? Sequence them. That's a worthwhile activity. What sort of activities? Where are the dangers in this room? Identify them. That's a useful, activity to know what to look for. Fill in the blanks. Not really. I think that people, unless you've got a list to choose from, then it really is just another version of multiple choice. The essay questions are a real problem where people are writing freeform their own answers, because if they're going to be graded, somebody has to mark them. So it's no longer independent, and it sort of just adds a layer of complexity. Sometimes people use them because they think that it will get people to think. What it actually gets people to do is type ... hit submit. There's my answer. Okay, I would always do that if I have a big box to write in. I know when I hit submit, they'll give me the answer. Why am I going to waste my time? So there's no point. So strategy. Why am I using these particular options? Scenarios we've talked about, branching activities. I mean, this is the way to go. But you do sometimes have to tell people stuff. That's a reality in training. Is sometimes you just need to tell people stuff. So you need to think about creative ways to do that. You could use a video. If it was a communication subject, for example, you might have a conversation. You might listen to a conversation about the topic that you're talking about, and then you might ask them some questions about that conversation. Audio is cheap. Video is quite expensive, and it requires an expert. Okay, so I wanted to look at another model. Oh yeah, okay, so sorry, yeah. So these are some of the different tools that are available and ways that you might use them. All right, so let's go into another scenario. So potential members find out local club information, their experience differs from club to club. Sometimes the players answer quickly, sometimes not. Sometimes they let the person know, sometimes they're left on hold, sometimes they're transferred quickly. Inconsistency, in terms of answering the phone. We designed the program about phone skills. They want the membership to have the same experience no matter where they are. Learners all over the country. So that's our context. So this is a model that is called action mapping, and it is a woman called Kathy Moore, who is really interesting and amazing, has an incredible website just full of all sorts of things. I mean, she's just really worth looking at. So there are 4 steps in the action mapping process, and you'll be doing some of this afternoon, I gather. Identifying the business goal. What's the rationale for this training? In this case, the rationale is we want consistency, people are complaining. Okay, so that's the rationale behind it. And what is the business goal that we're going to develop? Having identified the business goal, we then need to know, okay, so if I want people to achieve that goal, what do I want to see them doing? In the workplace, what observable behaviours do I want to actually see? Once I know that, I can then design practice activities that they can do. And then, and only then, do you start thinking about what information must I tell them in order for them to be able to practice those activities. So that there is a tendency in these e-learning, as I was saying with the PowerPoint approach, give them loads of information. Okay, so we need to tell them what the history is, and we need to tell them, you know, all this background information and, you know, policies, procedures. People just want to know, what am I supposed to do? You know, they're not going to be in there for long. It's going to be 20 minutes. These things are short. You know, it's not a 2-day job. It's a 20-minute learning experience. Just give me the stuff I need to know so that I can go back to work and get on with it. Right, I want to apply it. So the information is going to be less. So what business change do you want to create in identifying the business goal? So let's say, for the sake of this exercise, we're going to improve the new members' first impressions by 15% in 3 months. So you've done some sort of a survey, you've identified a certain level of satisfaction, you're going to do a survey in 6 months after you've done the training and see if that's changed, if that's your goal. So it's a SMART goal. People familiar with SMART goals? Yeah. Okay. So these are the reasons why we care about the goal. I'm sure you're all across and familiar with these sorts of ideas. Yep. Okay. So thinking about that, what sort of activities are you going to design? So what are you going to get them to do? What do you want to see in the workplace? What do you want to see them doing? So it's phone skills.
Following the script, perhaps?
Following the script, okay. So in accordance with organisational guidelines, I want them to answer the phone in a particular way. Yep. Anything else?
Set guidelines, like how many times, you know, you'll let a phone ring, or how soon you get it to the right person.
You want to see them answering the phone after a certain number of rings, for example. So that's a tangible thing. Yeah.
It's something like making the person feel welcome to talk to them. Like
yes.
A specific greeting.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Communicating, Joe.
Yes. You want to hear them communicating, don't you?
You've got to teach them about the tone of voice they use, the rate at which they speak, how quickly they speak when they answer the phone, how helpful they are to the person at the other end.
So you'll be thinking about examples that you could give them to work with, of all of those things, of all the things that they need to be able to do. So just to keep it really simple, and because I'm very conscious of the time as well, so let's say we want to, there would be others, but as examples, we're going to get them to answer the phone after 3 rings and use the company greeting. We want to observe them taking accurate messages. We don't want mistakes in the phone numbers or the information that's being relayed. And we want them to be good listeners. We want them to be listening to the people that they're talking to. And we want them to make it clear that they've understood, and the method that we want them to use is that they're checking back with their customers. Okay, so that's what we're going to achieve. So these are the activities. So we're going to listen to a number of greetings, and we're going to identify the correct one. So that's a very simple activity. Not a multiple choice question. Take accurate messages. We're going to give them an audio phone exchange that they can hear. And then we're going to ask them to look at the messages that were taken and make a judgment about those messages. And then we create a decision-making activity where the learner is going to respond to a series of questions. So a caller rings up, maybe they're angry about something, and it's like, do I put them on hold and go and find somebody who's more senior than me to manage this person? Do I just, try and, you have to think of something more specific than this, but, do I try and mollify them? Do I say certain things? You give them concrete examples.
Give them an option of actually finding someone or taking their details and getting someone to call them.
Yeah, that's right. So
there's a big problem in this switchboard type environment because we don't actually have switchboard operators anymore, and quite often the wrong person can't help you, answers the phone. That doesn't help the person who's got the phone.
No.
So people have to be given the skills to be able to deal with that situation, even if they can't help them.
That's
so
right.
There has to be some guidelines or rules for everyone that answers the phone to be able to help people with grievances so they don't get more annoyed.
Yes, that's absolutely right. So what you do is you'd be constructing experiences while people were making decisions about what to do with this angry customer. And then they're going to do something, and what the feedback is going to say, the customer slams the phone down and rings somebody else, or puts a written complaint in and withdraws their membership. They pick another option and they get, the customer wasn't, he was still a bit upset and annoyed, but when you do something else, that would you kind of get that customer through. But you give them options that are realistic. Because the other thing about this is people do things in the workplace thinking that it's right.
Yes.
It's not that they're deliberately trying to sabotage the organisation. They genuinely believe. So if you give them one of those options, they're going to go, yes, that's the answer. And then the feedback says, well, this is what happens. This is the impact of that action on that person who works over there. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
Practical activities. How do you teach these practical activities online?
Well, you do it by creating a scenario, and then you give them options to choose from that are plausible and realistic, like that. So if they let's say that it is, the phone rung 6 times, so they haven't got to the phone. They've just gone hello, and then they get this response. So that's not a good example. I'm trying to do something better than that. So you create a scenario, you give them realistic options, things that people really genuinely might do. They click on that option, another screen appears, and they see the consequence of that option. And the consequence of that option could be positive or negative or neutral. And then from there, they have to make another decision. But the idea is you want to get this customer from being unhappy to being satisfied. So various things can happen, because this is what happens in the real world. It's grey. So people need to move through various experiences. You just keep giving them options. So from your first slide with 3 options, this one might go this way, like this, and this one in the middle might go down here. It might loop back round and join up with the first option, and then this one might be a direct pathway. So it's complex. It's a complex thing to do, but it enables a learning experience where people actually learn. That's the difference. So you're not just telling them, you're making them think, make choices, and deal with the consequences of their action. So it's certainly, in my view, worth putting the time and effort into doing that. And I have examples of how you do that. So look, I've done a lot of talking, which I don't normally do, but I just really want to get these concepts and methods across to you, because I know that some people will be doing social learning, some people will be doing independent learning, so it's important to have that diversity. I wanted to show you the documentation process. Okay, so this is an example of a blended learning storyboard. So this is the storyboard that you're looking at now. So it's the process of documenting. Is that the right one? Sorry, it's this one. Okay, all right. So this is a template. I've given you a link so that you can go to this site. There are lots of templates here, so you just choose one that works for you. And it might be a PowerPoint, it might be a Word document, it doesn't really matter. You pick one that works for you. So you start off with the title, which is going to be in our case telephone skills. You put the business goal in, you divide it into your sections, you might do this at the end. You think about the strategies that you're going to use in order to teach people, and then you'll write your performance objectives. So I always think about this. That's an absolute pleasure. Nice to meet you both. No problem. Yeah, so at this point, it's a good thing to do at the beginning, to think about the strategies that you're going to use in order to deliver this learning experience. What sort of media are you going to need? So you're looking at budget as well at this point. If you're going to be using assessment, how long is the course? And the development time, you need to allow 3 months. 3 months to design a 20-minute e-learning module is about how long it takes. And the big difference is, if I'm here doing this, and I'm running out of time, I can change things. Okay, so when you deliver, and next time I deliver this module, this workshop, I probably will do something slightly different. You know, I'll look back, I'll reflect, I'll analyse, I'll go, okay, that bit was a bit long, or that bit was a bit short, or I didn't really like the way that activity went, or something, and I'll change it up the next time I do it. In here, those iterations need to happen before you go live. So time is important, and the design phase is the most important phase. So you've got to allow that time. Okay. So in the storyboard, what's going on screen 1? Some sort of a welcome. This is what you're going to learn. Why am I here? So it's that attention grabbing. You know, I'm going to have an audio conversation of an unhappy customer, and that results in the customer going somewhere else. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm going to go with this. You'll actually write the conversation, so you'll write the script. So nothing gets built until you've written all of the information, actually put the thing together. So we're going to say, okay, it's John's first day, a bit of a scenario, you know, he's on reception, his supervisor's close by, he's explained what's expected of him, or she probably rushes off to do something else. And then you hear, you know, you can use ambient sound, you know, sounds that you might hear as well. It's a nice use of audio to make it real. You've got the button flashing, you can have all that happening on the screen. You know, what should John say? Choose one answer. This is John, how can I help? Good morning, welcome, organisation, and good morning, this is John. So he's got 3 things he could say. These are realistic options. John won't say any of these things. Okay. So if the learner clicks number 1, which is good morning, this is John, the supervisor signs, this is the consequence of his action. Supervisor signs, grabs the phone from his hand and resolves the issue. Learner goes back to the beginning. Try again. That wasn't the right answer. Okay. If he chooses the second option, the supervisor's happy, they're smiling encouragingly, and the scenario continues, and the next bit of the storyline is told, and another set of questions is asked. Otherwise, you might choose option 3. The supervisor's, you know, not super happy, but she's not really unhappy. So there's going to be an opportunity now for John to correct, you know, the action that he chose in the rest of the scenario. So that's so all of this gets written down in detail. What I want to see on the screen, it needs to be in my document so that I can hand back to a builder and they can build it for me, and so on and so forth. And then you get it signed off. Usually there's a consultation process prior to this, so that you know your objectives will come out of that consultation process, and that it will be that whoever it is that's signing off, there'll be some sort of sign-off process. If you were designing a blended learning, social learning experience, it would be slightly different, your documentation process. Can you see that, everyone? Yeah. Okay, so you still have your introduction. You'd be talking about what technology am I going to use. It's going to be in the learning management system. The first thing they're going to do is get that email telling them where to go. They're going to log into the learning management system. You might give them some generic some generic information documents about the sorts of things that they're going to need to do in that environment. Pre-work instructions, they might have to join the LMS, maybe join a social network. Yammer is an enterprise social network. It means it's like Twitter, but it's in-house, so it's contained within the organisation. You've got to write down what the facilitator needs to do. The assumption here is that it's not you that's delivering it, it's somebody else that's delivering it. So this is highly detailed information. So they're going to be adding the welcome message. talking about the purpose and value of the space, ask them to create a profile, ask them to introduce themselves, as we've already talked about, and then they might come to a workshop. So they've done some preparatory activities, they come into the workshop, the things that you want them, you can actually write the content of the workshop in here as well, like the session plans and so on and so forth. So I think, the point that I'm really trying to make here is design is first. Design the whole thing first, and then you build. You don't build bit by bit and see what happens. It will just, in the end, it might feel like that's the quickest way to come at it, particularly if you are a technical person and you're quite comfortable in the software. In the end, you'll show it to somebody and they'll go, oh, I didn't really know what to do there. You think it's all clear to you because it's come out of your head. So somebody else looks at it and they're going to give you feedback and you're going to say, I have to change that now. If the changes are big, you want to do that at this point, when you're cutting and pasting words as opposed to deconstructing something that exists, using technology. Testing is another very important part of the process as well. Collaboration and testing. So that was a lot of talking. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Three questions. Did you put time allocation for that as well?
Yes, I would put a time allocation. Yeah. Yeah.
How many minutes to develop that 15 minutes? Or how many hours? How many?
3 months.
Time? 3 months.
Yeah. And it's usually 10.
For 15.
20 minutes.
15 minutes.
So, let's say for one course, how long will I need to prepare for this?
So you're doing blended learning?
Yeah.
And you're, 1 week course. Well, it would depend what you're going to do. I mean, it's a lot quicker and easier to build forums and multiple choice questions than it is to build the modules. That's a lot quicker and easier. So it would depend on the blend. So if it was a 1 week course, you might decide, well, I want 2 whole days of proper training in a classroom environment, and the other 3 days is the room stuff that they could do independently by themselves. So it would be how you were going to construct that and what sort of activities. I don't think I could really answer that without more information. But I mean, designing learning takes a long time. To design a half-day workshop is a 2-day job, and I'm going to come here and stand here. It's going to take me 2 days. And thinking and researching and looking around, it's slower. And doing it with technology, it's slower. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought.
How long will it take to design a cert course in anything?
Well, we did it.
Hours, huh?
Well, we delivered it. We were delivering it on. We were designing on the go. We'd already done it face to face, so we knew the content inside out and back to front. So that was fine. And we kind of knew that we were going to use forums. We were going to use. What did we use? We had the assessment tasks in there. They were already written, and we used forums and some information pages. And that was all we did. We kept it really simple. But we were about a month ahead of the learners in our design. And that was how we did it. So it took us, it would have been at least a week for each section. It is a lot of work. So the benefit is when it's done. But the reason that you put that time in, as I said, is that it's to do with that iterative nature of face-to-face training. On the job, you can actually adjust and move as you want to. You can't do that in eLearning. It's done, it's done. You need to get it right, so you need to take the time to make sure that you've had those iterations, you've sent it out, people have actually done it and given you a lot of feedback. You want 5 or 6 people doing your course and giving you feedback. So if it was a course like this, I'd be running a pilot. When we did that Cert 4 with those childcare people, our first group, they were our pilot group. And at the end of every session, we asked them, how was that? What happened? What didn't work for you? What could we do differently? And so we got to adjust it. So we had about a week. They were a week ahead of the rest of them. So we had a week to come up and adjust. And that was how we did it. But the modules you send out, you get people to do it. You give them a framework for feedback, and you get really detailed feedback.
I did a 3-minute video the other day. This is something those of you who are looking at social media training program will get to see. It's on how to create a meme. Very, very simple photo meme. What is a meme? How to do it. Very straightforward. Didn't even show them all of the options. And it took me an hour to actually figure out what I was going to say, what program I was going to use, how it was going to go out to them, what instructions they were going to get to do a 3-minute video.
How long did it take to make the video?
Oh, 3 minutes, you know. So actually, I just record it, upload it.
I think that's pretty good, actually. You did it in an
But
hour.
so, well, it's just a test,
Yes.
example.
Yes.
So I didn't want to spend lots of time.
Yes.
But I wanted to have something out there that we can sort of say, is this what you're looking for for
Yes.
that group of learners?
Yeah.
But it still took me an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's all that set up.
So, any final sort of questions, feedback, anything that you'd like to say, concerns? Is it like?
I'm learning a lot through webinars and stuff. All these programs that tell you to can run your own webinars and it sounds so easy. And I've listened to this morning.
Well, you know what? You just got to pick. That's a good. Pick webinars and say, that's what I'm going to design. I'm going to design a webinar. End all. And that's what you do. So that's really like designing a PowerPoint to use in the classroom to support the delivery. It is the most similar thing to face-to-face training. And then there's the next step, which is actually putting it inside the technology. So you work out what you're going to do, you go into the technology, that's the learning. But you're in a group.
Can I also say, and test it in Toastmasters. Do a Toastmasters webinar first,
Yes.
and then you get all that feedback from inside the organisation, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you never get feedback on the feedback, do you? Never hear from you. All these statements that are like outrageous statements. I never hear from you.
Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, so your experiences in design, have you ever been taken from, let's say we get to the storyboard phase, do you do any of your own then implementation?
I have done.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it was something like this, I've done everything from concept to evaluation and everything in between. With the modules, I used to build them. It's not my strength, and I'm deciding not to do that anymore. Like really to do that kind of building, you need to be a graphic designer. You've got that really quality, polished product at the end of it. There's such a range of skills that you need. You need graphic design skills, you need IT skills, programming really helps. I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I just decided I'm not doing that anymore.
To start then, this is possibly a question we have in the context of what we're doing. But what we're looking at doing now, we're looking at fairly basic, right?
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Looking at that, I'm not looking for that sort of detail. If you're going to take what we're doing and you're planning on getting accreditation against the unit of competency, design and develop e-learning resources, you will need to do more in-depth stuff which you can do on your own. But we are not doing it on our own, we're doing it as a team. You're doing this at a much more basic entry level, we've seen where it can go, but we're starting off much, much smaller than this, so that you can actually test out these ideas. For those of you who are on the edges whether or not you're coming this afternoon, what we're actually doing is we're going to design and develop e-learning resources for Toastmasters so that we can have a bit of a play with what these processes look like and start applying the ideas we've learned about this morning.
And so in the context of that unit, an e-learning resource might be a video. Yeah. Or it might be something that you upload or a link to something and a discussion question. It might be something really, it doesn't have to, this is the whole big, what you've got is the big picture and the big theories. That's what you have this morning, okay? And then you pick something small and manageable, something that feels like I can actually do this. It might be a Facebook group. You might
To the very first point of finding vision statement.
Nice thing.
Can I ask a question? Because when I've been to the meetup for e-learners instructional designers, it seems to be that pretty much everyone is either a builder or they're a designer or they're everyone's a professional specialising in something.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. There's very few people that have all the skills. I do know one guy, and he's like amazing.
Yeah.
But there's very few people that have all the skills you need
to do it all.
Particularly with the modules.
Yeah.
The modules that And even in the Moodle, you know, everybody using Moodle, you know, a learning management system, you're going to do this in what? What are you going to be working in?
Well, I'll be doing it for the certificate for training assessment.
But what platform are you using?
Moodle.
You're using Moodle, okay.
Yeah, we will be using Moodle.
Okay. Great. Okay.
Yeah, so which I'm kind of familiar with already.
Yeah. So it's not a big leap to set up a forum in Moodle.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody sets up the course for you, the actual, you know, the shell, let's call it the shell.
Yeah.
And you decide, I'm going to have some information on that page, I'm going to have a discussion here, and I'm going to have a few links over there, maybe a couple of questions. You know, keep it contained.
And I've also got just enough programming knowledge that when we started to get into coding and things like that, I've done just enough that I actually understand the basics.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not something, until I've done what I've done this year, I wouldn't have touched it.
Mm.
But now that I've done a little bit, I feel confident enough that I understand the framework and the concepts and understand when you want to start playing with how things work.
Yeah.
So it's very time consuming.
So Moodle then is the platform delivering the e-course.
Yes.
So it will accept your members in and it will
Track them. Yeah.
take it, whether it's a self-paced or whether it's this gets released on this date, this gets released on that date.
That's right.
And we have access to something similar to Moodle where you can record webinars and put tasks up and everything. That's free for the purpose of doing what we're doing in our project. So similar kind of thing. That's eLearning.
Well, have a look at Zoom as well.
I have.
Yeah.
I liked eLearning because we've got the free design non-profit.
So I'm here for the rest of the day, and so if anybody does have questions, particularly when you're moving into your groups, you know, I'm very happy to just be available. And I thank you for your participation and your interest and for listening to me for the last hour or so, 12 hours. Sorry about that. And yeah, I'm done.
Thank you so much.